Dear all, welcome to Civil Services with ZAKI. Today we are going to discuss about what is the atmosphere. So basically it is related to the major geographical concept series, and basically it is the very short description about the atmosphere and all that, because if you want more descriptive type explanation, then you must join our regular class, basically regular class in sub study IAS and sub IAS study, and also various coaching in Mukherjee Nagar and Old Rajendra Nagar and etc. So if you want to more, and if you want to something specific concept about geography, ecology, environment, then you write in comment box. And also uh, uh, if you want any question related to the geography and etc, then you must subscribe our channel and also go to our blog is same name, Civil Services with ZAKI. As you see here, it is our blog, Civil Services with ZAKI. So now we move forward. If you are new, then you must subscribe our channel and also follow my blog. So we move forward and see what is the atmosphere. So relatively thin layer of gas, the atmosphere, basically a thin layer of gas, it is basically atmosphere surround earth's surface. So if you see, the earth's surface is surrounded by these thin layer of gases. So the atmosphere shield us from the harmful energy rays from the space, gamma rays, X-rays, and another type of the high energy particles are basically very harmful, and that's the high energy rays. The high energy rays coming from the space are protected by these atmosphere. So the source of our weather, climate, and it's all are in our atmosphere. And basically if you see, it's contain the oxygen, water vapor, and other gases on which life depends. So what is the character and composition of the atmosphere? So the question is, what is the character, what is the composition of the atmosphere, and how does it interact with the light coming from the sun? So we discuss all these topics in our major geographical concept series. That's why you subscribe our channel, and if and the next video, in the next week video, we also provide you basically the composition of the atmosphere. And basically today we will discuss on the structure of the atmosphere. So we move forward and see what is the character of the atmosphere. So what type of the atmosphere and what are the character of our atmosphere. So if you see here this picture, basically this picture is taken from the space by satellite. So see here, they examine the view of the earth taken from a spacecraft orbiting high above the earth as viewed from the space. Earth is, see here, earth is dominated by three things. If you recognize these three things, what is these three things? You see here, this is blue oceans, basically blue oceans and sea. These are, see here, it is blue oceans and sea, and these are land mass, and land mass here is a multicolor. So multicolor land. And also see here clouds. So if you see the earth from the space, you see these type of the basically these are the basic three things you recognize from the space, and these are also present in the, basically these are recognized by the space. So if you see minutely this layer. So see in next slide if you see this. So here a fringe line. So it's the type of the boundary. So if you see, if you look closely, the very edge of the planet, you can observe a thin blue fringe. That is atmosphere. That is atmosphere. If you see here, that is atmosphere. So atmosphere line between the space and our Earth surface. So from this perspective, the atmosphere appears to be incredibly thin layer. So see here, very thin layer that envelop our planet, separating from the dark vastness of the space. So if you see dark vastness of the space separated by these atmosphere. So we move forward and see the structure of the atmosphere. So what is the structure of the atmosphere? So here we discuss about the structure of the atmosphere. So see here, this is our atmosphere. So if you see from bottom to top, basically the mean atmosphere is basically about 100 kilometers above the earth. So see here, the atmosphere extends from the surface to the earth upward more than 100 kilometers, basically mean. So these main 100-kilometer area of these atmosphere are called homosphere. So with some characteristic of the atmosphere going to the thousands of kilometers, but some of the other characteristic of our atmosphere like gas and other temperature etc go to the thousands of kilometers, 9,000, 10,000 kilometers above the earth. As you see here, it is 6,000 miles. So these are, so the atmosphere is not homogeneous in any of its attribute, but instead has different layer that vary in temperature, air pressure and the amount of composition of the gases. Each layer has the term big sphere like troposphere, stratosphere etc. So each layer called a sphere as a part of its name, referring to the way each layer successively wrap around the earth. So around the earth, and basically it is, if you see, it is roughly spherical. So that's why it is spherical, because earth is a sphere. That's why it is called a sphere, means troposphere, stratosphere etc. So we move forward and see here. So from bottom to 100 kilometer, it is called homosphere. It is called homosphere, and beyond 100, beyond 100, it means above 100 kilometer, it is called heterosphere. It is called heterosphere. So we move forward and see the layer of the atmosphere, and you see here in this photograph you see the layer divided in various types. So see here, it is, if you go to the 100 kilometer and 100 kilometer, it means from bottom to from the surface of the earth to the 100 kilometer, and it is from the line divided by the earth and space, it's called Kármán line. So Kármán line, so we here study these section by two sections. Number one is the homosphere. It means homosphere, troposphere, stratosphere and mesosphere. And above mesosphere, about Kármán line, above Kármán line, we also study the heterosphere. So here the first layer, the lowest layer of the earth is called troposphere. Here it is troposphere. So if you see here the troposphere, so see here the lowest layer of the atmosphere is one which one with which we surface dweller interact. It contains the air we breathe, cloud, wind, rain, and other aspects of the weather. This layer is called troposphere. With the name tropo, tropo means basically tropo derived from the Greek word and for its turning or mixing. It refers of the swirling motions of the cloud, wind, other manifestations of the weather. That's why this layer is called troposphere. So this layer is called troposphere. So the boundary between the troposphere and stratosphere is called tropopause. And if you go from the bottom to the upper part of the boundary of the troposphere, its temperature decreases about -6 degree per kilometer from the boundary of the troposphere. It means tropopause. So if you see tropopause, the temperature of the tropopause is about -50 degree Celsius. So it is tropopause. Now we move the second layer. It is called stratosphere. So it is the second layer after troposphere. So see here the next layer up to the stratosphere beginning an altitude of about 10 kilometers. So if you see the troposphere is from 8 to 16 kilometers. From 16 kilometer at the equator and the lowest in the pole. So the layer and basically the boundary between the troposphere and stratosphere is about 10 to 11 kilometers. So here 10 to 11 kilometers, it is the boundary. So altitude about 10 kilometers. The lowest part of the stratosphere is an altitude which may commercial jet flight there because the air offer less resistant to the motion, allowing the appreciable fuel saving. So if you see these layers, the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere, it means tropopause. The commercial plane here you see here, it is commercial plane. Basically a commercial plane fly in this layer, and this layer because less resistance, because here less air molecule and less dense air. So it is. So some of the basic feature of this stratosphere. Number one, you see temperature increases with the altitude. So if you see the almost no weather occurrence, it means it is easy to fly any aircraft with less resistance. So almost no weather occurrence. Most of the weather occurrence in the troposphere. And the third one is high level of ozone. So ozone layer present within this layer. This layer means stratosphere layer. About ozone layer is 20 to 30 kilometer above the earth. 20 to 30 kilometer above the earth. So upper boundary is called stratopause. The boundary between the stratosphere and mesosphere is called stratopause. So now we move forward and see the another layer. Another layer is mesosphere. Another layer. So above the stratosphere is the mesosphere, where meso also come from the Greek word. Greek means middle. Meso means middle in reference to this layer being the middle of the atmosphere. Meso means middle of the atmosphere. The upper part of the mesosphere is very cold. If you go to the boundary, upper part of the mesosphere is very cold, and it is minus 85 degrees C or minus 120 degree Fahrenheit. So, and it's considered by the many scientists. So, many scientists considered this layer is the coldest place within our Earth system. So, if you see coldest place within our Earth system, it is the boundary between the mesosphere and thermosphere. So, some of the characteristic of this layer, you see, gases are less dense. Number one, temperature decreases as altitude increases. Third one is upper boundary is called mesopause, and some of the if you see, most of the meteorite destroyed in this layer. So this layer is also known as the shooting star layer. So shooting star layer is also mesosphere. So these are the characteristic of our mesosphere. So we move forward and see the other. Other means above the Kármán line. Kármán lines means it is heterosphere, it is no thermosphere. So basically it is the thermosphere and the exosphere. So we move forward and see the thermosphere. So the top layer of the atmosphere is called thermosphere. Basically it is derived from the Greek word for the heat, because this layer surprisingly can become very hot, more than 1500 degrees Celsius, because as gas particle intercept the sun energy, and after this collision the layer is very hot and goes to the temperature up to the 1500 degree Celsius. So some of the characteristic of this layer is temperature increases with the altitude. Number one. Number two, relative radially absorb the solar radiation. So this layer radially absorb the solar radiation and also reflect radio waves. This layer also reflect the radio waves, and basically spectacular aurora originate in this layer. So these aurora it is also known as the northern light. Northern light originate in this layer. So that's all about the structure of the atmosphere, and we see that what type of the structure of the atmosphere, and we see all the layer of the atmosphere above the Kármán line, below the Kármán line. Above the Kármán line is called heterosphere, below the Kármán line is called homosphere, and we see all the layer. So now we move forward, and we provide you and basically the next video for the composition of the atmosphere. If you want to know more about the structure of the atmosphere and what type of the composition of the atmosphere, what is the variable gas, what are the permanent gas, etc., then you join our regular class, because as you know regular class is about 2 to 3 hours, and this lecture is only 15 or 10, maximum 20 minutes. That's why the all concept will be not clear in a single class. So that's why you join. But if you want to any concept related to the geography, then you write in the comment box. So that's why it is our thermosphere. So if you want more, and if you want to join our test series and other test series and all that, then you also contact me, and my number is given in the below. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you will learn something, and in our next week we will provide you a next video about the major geographical concept about the composition of the atmosphere. So for this video and all new happening around, then you go to our channel. And thanks for watching this video. Thanks a lot.